Welcome back to the Broker Power Up podcast, the AIME podcast with strategy, stories, and insights to help you close more loans. I'm Tommy Golightly, joined by Jonathon Haddad. How are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. It is a lot going on in the air. I'm excited for today's broker buzz and just some of the things that we have going on behind the scenes. These are pretty dark. Some of the questions we got. I love it, and I'll tell you why when we start answering some of these. Because I love the direction that our community is headed in, and I'll explain. We just did something on like asking questions. And so part of me, as I was thinking through it, was like, hold on, there's something here. So we're excited to showcase that with all of you here very, very soon.
And we have a very special guest with us, Michelle Mikel. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you guys?
Good. We're thrilled to have you. So excited. It's always a pleasure to have you on. You're the first returning guest on Broker Power Up.
That is
well,
correct.
I feel honored. And what I can tell you is I think the world needs to know that offline, all three of us are actually really tired, but we're just
well, we're pushing through. There's a podcast to be done.
We're pushing through. I've had a double Nespresso. John's drinking something that has extra something in it. And
I got my blue juice, my Mio.
There we go.
Careful. We got to be specific. We're in mortgages. Some people get crazy in our space. Okay. So it's just a C-Bum energy drink. All right.
I had a extra caffeine Malazio Nespresso pod. It was bomb.
Mine is just caffeine and B vitamins into water.
Funny caffeine story for Tommy. Tommy, do you mind sharing?
Do you want to share it, or do you want me to share
it? Well, so I love the story because thank God you're okay now.
Yes.
But Tommy did at Fuse last year. He did 66 podcasts for us.
Mm-hmm.
And he was drinking caffeine, like energy drinks throughout the day. By the end of the night, he had the jitters so bad and he was shaking that he's had to like stop going nuts on drinking caffeine since
Did someone not bring him food?
I think we forgot. I think
I had every meal. I think I exceeded 1,000 milligrams of caffeine every day. And then right after Fuse, I ran away to Scotland with my wife and a friend. And I went through caffeine withdrawal, which I didn't even know was a thing. So be very careful with caffeine. It is not a joke. And Celsius, I have not had one since. So
yeah, it's only funny because he's okay now.
It's only funny because I'm okay. Yeah. There was a lot of stress. There was a lot of being angry and short-tempered, but we pushed through it. And my wife and friend are incredible people and very forgiving of my situation that I was in because of work. But I was self-induced. I pushed myself too far, but now I know. And will not have a repeat this year. But how we start every podcast is a fortune cookie. And John, we are reaching a sentimental position with these. The first box that we ordered, this is the second to last one. We only have one more, and then we will have a new box of fortune cookies and hopefully less blanks because we've had a lot of blanks in this box. But today's fortune, October will be a month of happiness, joy, and contentment. Who wants to take this first?
October will be a month of joy,
happiness, joy, and contentment.
What do I have going on in October? That's what I'm thinking about. We have Fuse at the end of September.
I'm thinking this is just post-Fuse crash.
Yeah, that's where my brain was going for me, where it was like, you know what? We're going to have a big turnout for Fuse this year. We are on pace to have the biggest one we've had in my 3 years of doing this. Mm-hmm. And so that'll be fun, especially considering last year and just the turnout that we had. So I do believe that's what that one will mean for me. I think I've been focusing on resting quite a bit more, relaxing a bit more, focusing a lot more on my health. And I do pray that coming into, especially after Fuse, that focus doesn't leave and it stays very tried and true. And I don't want to go back to, I don't want to revert back. I want to keep my focus on what's ahead, what's in front. After that October, then I think we kind of hunker down, put our head down, and then get ready for what's to come after that. So I like that one. That one's nice.
Yeah, Michelle? I think mine is, coming back onto the speaking circuit after having a baby is an interesting experience. Like coming back to, I'm reaching out and having those conversations again. Yes, I can travel again. Like those have been the conversations I've had in the last, 30, 60 days. June and July were tough months coming out of maternity leave, as you guys both can imagine. Like, you're back to working, you have a 4-month-old, like, are you sleeping? What are you doing with your 5-year-old? Because he's not in school. And so I think October for me is going to be 2 months after I go back to speaking. So my first speaking gig back is August 15th in Vegas. I'm super looking forward to that at Originator Connect. And I think October will be a month of rest, right? Like, for me, in a good way. I am speaking at NAM National in Vegas as well in October. So being able to have that be my kind of big one coming back to, I just think it's good. Like, I just feel like the word joy feels good to me. It feels like, I've earned the rest, and now I get to do the thing that I love the most, which we all had the opportunity to talk about offline. So
yeah, no, awesome. Mine's very similar. It's getting all the work done and being able to rest in October right after Fuse. And I booked my tickets yesterday I'm a big hockey fan, and I'm a Penguins fan, and they start the season in Philadelphia. So the rivalry of Pens and Flyers, and I live just outside of Philadelphia. So I got tickets to the first game of the season. So that's how I'm going to celebrate being done with Fuse. And then the joy and contentment will come from all the hikes that I have planned for later in the month. Just disconnect and be out in the wilderness.
John, I'll actually be in your neck of the woods October 4th if you're around. My husband's running the marathon through downtown.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, cool. So we're flying up to you.
Which one do they have? Is that the what do they have?
It's the Twin Cities one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's all right. Never mind. I have a thought that I'll bring back full circle here. Yeah, I'll wait a second on it.
All right, cool. Well, we have a lot going on today in this episode of the Broker Power Up podcast. We have the Broker Buzz, where we're going to dive into the top posts of the week from the Brokers Our Best Facebook group and discuss what's trending, what's working, and what you need to know. Then we're going to have a sales pitch training from John and Michelle, and then we'll wrap things up with story time. And so let's dive into the Broker Buzz with our first question of the week. I have an interesting scenario I'd love to see if any of you've had in the past. Conventional loan, borrower is a U.S. citizen, co-borrower, DACA with expired driver's license and expired work permit in the process of getting her green card. The interview was today. She has a valid Mexican passport. Title said they can close with a Mexican passport. Has anyone closed a loan with this status? And what did you use for an ID with the lender?
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to close this conventional. So title might be good with it, but from a conventional guideline perspective, you're saying all of the necessary forms are expired as it currently stands. That's just from what I'm reading. So if they're currently expired, I don't know how the lender will accept the closing while they're expired. Like, thank God the green card interview went really well, but there is no, right now, this potential person, based off what I'm reading, is not a legal resident alien or a U.S. citizen. That's just based off the context that you just gave us. So if that's the case on a conventional loan, there won't be a way that the lender can close it. If I'm missing something that some of you, it's a new guideline that maybe I have missed, I would love to hear from you. But in this case here, you really want to set the expectations properly. Call the lender, not the title company. Title company can sign off on basically anything. They'll take the risk. So if they want to take the risk, title company will take it. The lender is going to be that final call because they have to package that loan and sell it off to Fannie or Freddie, whoever it is that's backing that product. And that's what you're going to have to deal with, not the title company. So that's where I would go first. Ask a lot more questions. See that timeline for the green card, but you're in a tough spot here.
Absolutely. And our next question. I have a client who cannot be on title and has funds, etc. The co-borrower has a foreclosure on a timeshare, trying to find options since the co-borrower is the only one available. DSCR will still not like foreclosure, correct?
So this is what I was saying earlier, where it was like, and look, here's what I love about these. And the next one is, next ones aren't any easier than this. What I love about these is that we're asking questions and we're trying new things and we're trying to figure it out. But what I want you to think about when it comes to asking questions is, what kind of questions are you asking on this type of consumer? And you may have asked these questions, but I want to take a very high level overview of this. So when somebody tells me that, oh, I have somebody else that doesn't qualify, but they have the money. Okay, why do they have the money but don't qualify? Like that to me is weird. If you have the money but you don't qualify, I right away there's no congruency in my head. Because technically speaking, if you have the cash and the capital, it's like, why aren't you paying your debts off or whatever it is that makes you not currently qualify for a DSCR loan, which is literally just based off of the money that you put down. So I would ask a lot more questions on that. Figure out what's going on there. Foreclosure on a timeshare. Why? What happened? Why did it foreclose on a timeshare? What went wrong in that process for that to occur? It's not an easy process that you're dealing with here. And again, I just want you to make sure we're asking big picture questions, because here's what can harm our community down the road. And by no means am I saying you're harming our community, so please don't take this out of context. What I'm simply saying is, in situations like this, we're trying to make something work that has so many different what if scenarios. So if you're going into a situation with what if this works and what if this happens, and then if this happens and if this happens, then the loan will work. Yet don't do that, because if that loan gets bought back or something occurs, the rest of the community is going to pay for it. They also might not be a client that's ready for this next step if they're trying to find all these loopholes. Like if they're trying to find loopholes and different ways to get this done and trying to figure it out by I'm not going to say cheating the system. There's legal ways to do it, and I'm sure that's the path they're trying to take. But if it requires that much work to get it done, something in my head from a red flag perspective just goes off, and that time that you have to spend isn't worth it.
Absolutely. Next question. DSCR question. If a borrower has a bunch of late payments on their current mortgage but wants to refi for a lower rate, could she sell the home from the existing LLC to a separate LLC that she owns to essentially wipe the slate clean? I don't believe lenders would allow for this, but figured it doesn't hurt to look around.
So love the questions again. And I love the fact that you were like, hey, look, I don't think there's anything, but would love to hear from the community. So you are correct, but I want to tell you why, okay? Because it's not like, don't think investor or lender. When I give you guys these answers, I want you to understand it from, like, imagine you're the one giving money. That's always the lens I want you to understand this from. And so what this person is doing is basically saying, hey, this business that this is in, I own this business and I haven't been able to maintain this business properly. However, I have another business that I also own and would love to push it over there. The reality is the lender is going to ask for a verification of mortgage payments being made. And when you give them all these lists and they get all the information, they're going to see that the same person owns this company that owns the current company that the property is in. In the current setting, it showcases that this client isn't a client that's able to pay on time. And so just because they're transferring it from one LLC to another one, while she is still the main owner of said LLC, it is still showcasing to the lender the exact same thing that it's showcasing now. Said person is unable to pay for said mortgage. Therefore, if they transfer it as well, it won't be any different. So that is the reality here of what you're dealing with. If they sell it to somebody completely new, that's a whole different conversation. But right now, selling it to yourself in a separate business, it's not going to showcase anything. They will figure it out. They will uncover it. I know you're not trying to hide anything. You were very polite in the way you asked the question, but I just want you to understand the why from a big picture lens.
Absolutely. And our last question for the week. Weird scenario. I have a borrower that got divorced in 2020. The house was quite quitclaimed to just her, but the loan is in just his name. She was making the payments to him and he stopped paying the mortgage, and it's now in foreclosure. Of course, she paid him cash. She is trying to refinance his mortgage, but I'm not sure we can since we don't have any payment history. Any other suggestions? It was going to be a conventional rate term refi.
Yeah, so this is a really tough situation because I also understand how difficult divorce can be. And I don't know the context of this client's situation, right? Like they could have a tumultuous relationship. This person could be vindictive. I don't know any of that. So what I'm going to tell you is just a best path for you to guide your clients moving forward. Okay. Anytime there's a divorce that occurs, inside of the divorce decree, that is final say. So even if there's no payment history, you can refinance out. It doesn't matter if that's what it says. So even if I'm on title, but Tommy, you and I are married, you and I get divorced, and I'm on the title of the property and you're on the mortgage and I'm awarded the property, I am responsible to make those payments at that time. I, Jonathon Haddad, am now responsible, not Tommy Golightly. If there's an agreement with Tommy, and here's what I think happened.
That's
2020 rates were very low. So people, okay, we got divorced. I don't want to refinance this to a higher rate. Tommy says, hey, John, no problem. You could just pay me. You can just pay me monthly and I'll handle it for you. And then all of a sudden things get
But
tight.
just pay me in cash.
That's what I assume happened in this situation. So you are in a very tough spot here because of the fact that the divorce decree will also give a date that the refinance has to occur. So if you're past said date, you are going to run into an additional situation. Look, for those of you talking to clients that are dealing with divorce, I am very direct with consumers going through a divorce. I say, here's what you need to look out for. Here's what you need to be on top of. Oh, what if we do? No, there is no what if. Okay. Whoever is awarded the home must pay it or refinance it into just their name. It is that simple. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's nothing I can do or you can do if it's outside of what the court has ordered. It is a court-ordered situation that we're dealing with. So this is a tough situation. It's going to be difficult to get out of, especially if it's been this many years. And I'm assuming that the divorce was finalized some time ago. So read the decree, see what it says, go to the court, see if there's something that they can do to extend, and then see what you can do from that perspective.
This is an interesting podcast of seconds. First, it's Michelle's second episode on the podcast, but it's also the second time John and I got divorced.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want your questions answered on the Broker Power Up podcast, be sure to be a member in the Brokers Are Best Facebook group and use the hashtag Broker Power Up, and I'll be sure to get your question answered here on the podcast. We'll be right back after this quick ad.
Fuse 2026 touches down in Austin, Texas from September 24th through the 26th, and this will be the biggest one yet. We are bringing the independent mortgage community together for 3 days of connection, strategy, and real solutions that are tangible and easy to implement that day. As always, Fuse is an event built for brokers by brokers, and this year's main stage is stacked with some of the biggest names and sharpest minds, both from within and beyond the mortgage industry. Not to mention the VA Summit and the incredible WMN Summit. Denim and diamonds this year for WMN, plus dozens of breakout sessions and an exhibit hall packed with partners passionate about pushing the industry forward. And you heard it right. We are giving away a truck. Yes, iced by Cake, live on the main stage this year. And the best part, every single AIME member has a chance to take it home. If you aren't a member, sign up today to claim your Fuse ticket included with your membership. Annual plans start at $199 per year. Scan the QR code to learn more. We'll see you in Austin.
All right, we're back.
Michelle, so I have a couple of questions for you before we start.
Sure.
All right. You said I can kind of do whatever, so I'm going to go down
Should
this
I be
path with you.
nervous?
It'll be fun.
It depends. Okay, we'll see. All right. First question. Would you rather be remembered for one incredible achievement or a lifetime of quiet impacts?
Quiet impact all day.
Ooh, okay. I like that one. Would you rather have every opportunity but no confidence, or all the confidence with very few opportunities?
Well, hold on. How should I answer that?
However you want.
I would say a little of both. It's politically not the correct answer because I'm supposed to choose one or the other, but I'm technically choosing. I want to be in the middle of those two, right? Which is, I think, actually where I live today. So
you're allowed to, however you want to answer. All right. Would you rather have someone always tell you the truth or always be loyal to you?
These are really, who wrote these?
Yeah. So I go through these all the time, like every week. And then on my podcast, I've been just hammering these away with all these different guests.
Well, I think, what's the first one again? Always tell you the truth or
always be loyal. Yep.
I think if you have someone, this is my lawyer response, if you have someone who is trustworthy to tell you the truth, then they would be, in theory, loyal if you handle their comments properly. I mean, like, I think about my husband, right? My husband is always going to tell me what I don't want to hear because that's our life, right? Like, he's here to support me and to make me better, not always to make me feel warm and fuzzy, right? Because that's not how we grow and that's not how we become better humans. But is he super loyal because I take it the way I'm supposed to take it? I would say, yeah, right? And friendships is the same. Friendships is the same, right? Like, a true friend is someone who will tell you the truth. And if they are telling you the truth, it's up to me as the person receiving it to either take it and say, you know what, so and so, you know what, John, yeah, thank you for telling me that, and I appreciate you. And the way I respond to you telling me the truth, I think, is how I create loyalty from you to me, or vice versa.
So I love that. So like I can see your brain like as it's opening up. You know, you're just like, okay, wait, here we go. Like these aren't joking questions. So yeah, I try to make them decently serious. Thank you guys for turning on the lights. That's perfect. Mid podcast, I'll turn this one off. But I have two more from this side here. So this one is: would you rather be able to read everyone's mind or have everyone be able to read yours?
I want to read other people. Nobody needs to be in there.
Yeah. You don't want to know what's happening.
No.
All right. And last one. Would you rather achieve every goal you've ever set or become the type of person who no longer needs those goals to feel fulfilled?
Option 2. No question. That's what the Bible tells us more than anything.
I know it's what it tells us. That one's still hard for me right now. I won't lie. That one's a tough.
It is hard, right? It is hard because you set goals for yourself. You want to achieve. We're all high performing. I know you, John, well enough to know that, you and I operate on the same wavelength. We are very high performing individuals, which means that we attach ourselves to, did I succeed and did I do something well? And when we fall short of that, it's very difficult for us to process that. But I can also tell you that the more and more I've spent time in the Word and the more and more I've understood like what God wants for our lives, He tells us to, sit with our hands open and to humbly sit before Him and say, like, I can't do this without you. I need you. And at the end of the day, that is designed in my mind to say, even if we fail, right, it's not because we're not good. It's because maybe that wasn't what we were supposed to be doing, right? And God's got a plan for us if we are willing to receive it.
I love that one. No, I agree. There's a lot to go into that as well. It's like you do have to let go of everything, and it's really difficult. It's really difficult to let go and find it. Everyone's working on inner peace, and it's really hard to let go of all of it. But once you can, I've met those people. I'm not there yet, but you've met them too, and you could just tell some about them. It's just, it doesn't matter what happens. Even it's like some of the craziest tragedies have happened to them, and they're just like, it's just, this is the way it is. And at the end of the day, I can only focus on what, and it's just beautiful where their heads go and what they can do. So I love that. So Tommy, you had a topic earlier we were talking about. Would love to bring that to the front. And then Michelle, at the end, what I like to do is a new game where it's called the 1-word game. So don't worry about it now, but I want to put it into your head so you know this is coming. But I'm going to go through a slew of words, and you're going to tell me what they mean to you at the end of this, okay? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. But Tommy, you were talking about early on. I'd love for you to.
Yeah, just wanted to kind of lay things up. John and I offlined this after last week's podcast, and just because last week's discussion kind of led my mind into this and kind of reverse engineering a clean close, where the idea is like every deal that falls apart at the closing table actually died 2, 3, 4 weeks earlier. You just didn't notice. So working way back, like the end goal is the closing table, getting to the closing table and it closing. And then before that, you have clear to close. And before that, you have underwriting and conditions. And then appraisal, title, insurance, processing and documentation, application, pre-approval, and rate lock, client consultation, and at the very beginning, referral relationships and lead generation. And it's just one of those things where throughout your day, you're probably doing dozens of other things that aren't these couple things that are actually getting from the referral to the closing table, but like scrolling on Facebook or just doing things that aren't moving your clients along this line. And if you take the time, because we all have only a certain amount of time in a day and energy in a day, and focusing your energy on these things will help with the end result of closing more loans.
So reverse engineering, you don't understand this, at least for me, when I first got into just anything, like regardless of the business world, it doesn't matter what you do. Once you learn how to reverse engineer, it makes the process easier, because what you start to look at is, okay, there's what success looks like. Now, how do I work backwards from that level of success to figure out what it took to get that feeling of success? And the reason that's so beneficial is you start to realize that, okay, there's actually processes I can put in place to get me to that level. But you don't realize that up front. Up front, you're just like, okay, it's the wild, wild west, feels like chaos. Just get on the phone, smile and dial, go to networking events, go talk to people, go take Zoom calls, go do one-on-ones, go do whatever you can do to generate business. Like, that's literally what you're taught. It just from my perspective, and that's fine. I don't think that's an issue, especially coming into commission sales. However, if you find the right mentor and the right person that then slows the game down for you, then it allows you to reverse engineer and go backwards, and you start to develop a skill that's so hard for me to describe unless you've gone through it before. When you can look at any situation, look, I have delusional confidence. I do. I have delusional confidence. I took over a tech startup in December. Okay. I don't do tech. Now I'm 8-9 months in, and I'm sitting here learning tech like you wouldn't believe. Why? Because I went in there with just the most delusional confidence that I will figure this out. I will work backwards. I will ask questions, and I will figure this out. But I've learned that process. And so for me, there's also that mixture of delusional confidence that allows me to go into any situation and want to learn how to reverse engineer. So y'all will get me very passionate on this subject if you can't tell. Michelle would love to hear your take on reverse engineering anything, because I know you're very big when it comes to the mental and the visualization side of things.
Yeah, I mean, reverse engineering is how I've lived my entire life, and it goes all the way back. So like, the topic could not be more perfect for me for our time today, and then going into our time next week too. Reverse engineering is how I swam the mile for 22 years. So swimming competitively for a very long time, I swam the longest race on the program that you could as a female or male. For a reference point, people who know swimming, and I've talked about this before, but people who know swimming, that the mile is a roughly 17-minute race for an elite female. For a male, it's 15 and a half, 16 minutes. It just depends on, what level you're swimming at. But if you understand the duration of a race like that, it's comparable to training for a marathon. The level of behind the scenes work that has to get done in order to complete a race at that caliber. So meaning, like, if we were to compare it to a sprinter, which you can't, there's just no comparison whatsoever to swimming a 2-lap race versus a 66-lap race, right? If I go out of the 66-lap race in the first 8 laps, I'm sprinting my butt off. I will not finish the 66 laps, no question. So when I swam the mile, especially as I got older and into my college years swimming at Rutgers, I swam the whole thing backwards. So in a short course pool, it's 66 laps, which means it's 16 100s with a 50 tacked on to the end, right? A 1650 is what it's called. So the 50 at the end, ignore it, because in every elite swimmer's brain, we look at that 50 as like, we're just going to go balls out for that one because that's all we got left. But the 16 100s, I counted backwards. So I would say I have 16 100s, 15 100s, 14, all the way until I got to 9. And when I got to 9, then all of a sudden I had that second wind. We all know psychologically the theories behind how women, our brains tell us that we can have these second winds. It's a psychological principle that I won't unpack here, but we could. And then when I got to 500 left, which would be 20 laps out of the 66, that's all I have left, my brain goes into hunt mode. Right. So I would go into this hunting of, I have to pick off people, and I ultimately, get as close to winning the race or winning the heat as I can, which in turn means that I back half the race. If you swim the mile correctly, you will swim the back, you will race it as a back half. Now, when I fast forward to today in my career and you know, my signature program, Drivers and Leavers, that officially just launched only a couple months ago, which is sending one message every day to somebody that you don't know, name dropping somebody that you do in an attempt to get something booked on your calendar that you need in order to move your business forward. Which, like, I'm saying that and I'm listening to John and you, Tommy, like talk backwards from the loan process, because, you know, as a keynote speaker, as someone who does a lot of podcasts, does a lot of webinars, those are the things that I need. Those are being my equivalent of you guys getting to the closing table, right? Because those are my closing table. So if I want to go get those things, how do I go get those things? And I had to do exactly what I did for 20 years of swimming. I had to unpack it all the way back 6, 7, 8 steps backwards to ultimately say, okay, well, I got that thing. How did I get that thing? Who did I know? Who did I message? Who did I talk to? What did the conversation entail? What kind of meetings happened after? Like, so when that whole process happens, I look at social so differently than anyone I've ever met, because I look at it from a perspective of, if I am going to send John a message with the intention of getting X, how do I do that, right? What is the process? How do I bring a name in? Is there a lever that I can use to build the bridge? You know, all my brain goes into all of that. So long story short, reverse engineering is my love language, because if I look at the end result and I say, that's what I ultimately need, my brain can unpack it 6, 7 degrees until I get to the beginning and say, that's what I was supposed to do. And then in turn, you know, because of that experience, I've now created Drivers and Leavers, which is literally how I teach everybody else to do what I just described.
So first, I have 2 things. Number one, anybody else notice when she was talking about picking people off, like her eyes? I like her eyes were like a lion, tiger, cheetah, like just locked in. And she was like, and then I think about picking people off as I'm going through this process. And then that's what I see. I'm in hunter mode. Like that, y'all, is the killer instincts, okay, that we were talking about. Your eyes were, I mean, it was cool, Tommy. I hope we had that on camera. It was really awesome. And cool. Then my second thing, Michelle, is you talked about teaching people this. So there's also a lot of people, like one thing I used to struggle with is I used to tell my mentor, God rest his soul, he checked me hard on this one time, but I used to tell him, man, I used to say, Steven, I wish everybody could just work like me. Like, why can't they just work 100 hours a week? And why can't they just, and he looked at me and he goes, if we had 100 John Haddads, why do we need John Haddad? And he said, people don't know what they don't know. It's your job to teach them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay. And
I really like that.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And I was 20, ignorant, 24, you know, hothead, just like, oh, they can't work like me. And just being very arrogant at the time. But my question to you is, you know, I worked with a lot of people that they didn't have like the athletic background or not much into much competition at all, which is no big deal. But I found it where I had to spend a little more time teaching them that process. Do you have a way that you teach it to some of your folks that you bring on board that might not necessarily have the same competitive drive that me or you might have?
Oh, absolutely. Because the truth is there is only one John, there is only one Michelle, and that's probably better.
Yeah, right? Correct.
So what I'll tell you is Drivers and Leavers, when I think about it from this perspective, this is just how my brain is saying to answer your question. Drivers, right? When I'm working with someone, the very first thing we have to identify our driver, meaning what do you need on a monthly basis that is actually going to create opportunity for you? Now, some people will say, oh, I need to post videos on social. That's not a driver, right? Because a driver is something that you have booked on your calendar that gets you a meeting or is a meeting with someone that can get you the thing that you actually need or want, which is the lead, right? So when I teach this, especially because I know we're about to do a webinar together, so I'll be able to unpack this even more. But a driver is the opportunity itself that you need booked on the calendar. What is it? Right? For me, you know, is it a webinar? Is it a podcast? Is it a keynote? Those are my 3. For a loan officer, it would be realtor meetings, vendor partnership meetings. How many broker opens are you doing on a monthly basis? How many, if you're recruiting, right? How many meeting number 1s do you need? Because in order to have a certain number of meeting 2s, you have to have a certain number of meeting number 1s, right? So when we think about drivers, we have to think about what are those meetings, aka the opportunity calls that you need to be doing in order for the next part to happen, which is the lead. So that's how we start. We identify what are your core drivers. Then the most important part is the second piece, which is your lever or your levers in your life. levers can be personal, they can be professional, they can be a place, right? I have a client who a coffee shop is one of the levers she's pulling in order to get in front of somebody that she really wants to get in front of, which happens to be the broker of an office, a large real estate office where she lives. That woman also owns this coffee shop that she goes to every Wednesday for Bible study on Wednesday morning. So she's trying to use the coffee shop as the bridge, right? So a lever is a person in your life that you have a relationship with, whether personally or professionally, that you can name drop, that can build the bridge between one person to get to the next person. Now, if you remember our lever from way back in the day, John, you were on stage with somebody who I had been working with, and I name dropped him to get to you. We now have this beautiful 3+ year friendship, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember that DM. I remember exactly what I said to you. I remember was like, I have to meet you. Please come find me right now, or I will come find you, right? But a lever is a really important part of this conversation, and it's often missed because when you are trying to prospect through social, you have to understand the power of leverage, because leverage is how we combat AI. Leverage is how we combat slimy, sleazy car salesman gross DMs that we get every single day. And also the power of my process in drivers and levers is I'm asking you to send one message every single day. One, not 10, not 20, not 50, but one. And if you send one with leverage used properly, you will get a yes. Like your batting average will be so high that any more than one, your calendar can't sustain it. Legit. Because if you do this every single day for 7 days, you're going to have 7 brand new meetings booked on your calendar. So driver first, lever second, right? In order to get said thing booked on my calendar, I have to name drop a person to get me in front of a new person that I can get that person booked on my calendar. And then the third part is the framework of the message, right? Meaning the message itself. What do we say? How do we sound? What do we include in the message? This is the 4-part framework of what we actually say. And we just built a really cool custom GPT that has over 100 hours of Michelle Mikel training in the back end of it, so that if someone's like, I want to send this message to somebody, but I don't know what to say, and what would Michelle say? You literally just copy and paste what you would want to say, drop it in the GPT, and then it would be like I'm sitting across the table with you, helping you write the message. And I'm really proud of the GPT because it's, first of all, it's a little creepy, right? You're like, whoa, that is for sure me. But also really cool. And then the last part is the process, or is the projections, right? So we're looking at our 90-day projections, what's coming up for us in the next 90 days. Now, this is the reverse engineering thing. That's literally how I built drivers and levers, because I would look at my 90-day projections and say, how many webinars do I have? How many podcasts am I on? How many speaking opportunities do I have in the next 90 days? And I would say, oh, August is a little light. Let me go prospect and fill that bucket. And in order to fill that bucket, I had to figure out how I did it in the first place for all the other ones, right? So reversing it back to drivers, how did I get the driver booked on my calendar? So even if you don't have the hunting instinct that I do, or that you do, Tommy or John, like you have to have the process, which is the black line, right? It's that thing to follow. It's the guide that gets you from point A to point B to point C, so on and so forth. And the truth of the matter is most people don't lack ambition. They lack a path to follow. And they're really confused because there's so much information. And at the end of the day, I think we can be inundated with information that will actually not move us forward. Right. And I had a woman yesterday, she said, Michelle, I'm not going to any conferences this year. And I was like, why? And she goes, I've been to so many in the last year, and I really just need this whole, Q3, Q4 to just dissect all of it and actually implement all of it. And I was so proud of her because there's some badass conferences coming up that she could go to. Right. But she said, she's like, nope, I know I could. I'd go get inspired. I'd be excited, but I need to just follow the process that is in front of me now. And, at the end of the day, John, I hope I answered your question there, but that's how we unpack the whole thing from our end goal and how do we reverse engineer it to what do we actually need to do. And whether you're a high D, a high I, or an SC, you can figure out how to do it if you have a plan.
You more than answered the question, y'all. And look, the reason I wanted to ask is there is a way to learn this process, but you also need a sense of accountability in certain situations, especially if you've never gone through it or don't understand how to do it. What she's talking about works incredibly well. And she just literally gave you the reverse. If you actually listen to what she said, she reverse engineered it and told you exactly what she does. But the reality is most people won't execute on it because we just need that sense of accountability, or we don't know if it works yet because we haven't tried it. And we think, oh, well, I've tried all this other stuff. The reality is you haven't. And that's exactly what I was going to say. You haven't. And please, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. We're simply saying it because it's just the math. It's just the odds. You haven't done it at the level that you need to do it at. There's certain things that I'm in that same boat. I'm sure Michelle, certain things that she's in that same boat. But when we're talking about reverse engineering your business when it comes to commission sales, driving opportunities, putting the right people in front of you, this is what works the best. So no, I think you answered that beautifully.
I mean, you, John, are like, it's funny. It's almost awkward for me to say it out loud, right? That I used my own process on you to get to you.
Yeah. But it's not,
right?
It was good though, but
if it works.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it makes it more likely for me to reply. Like, that's just the reality of it. It's just like, okay, hold on. Like, something's up. Y'all, you do have to see it. It is a process for you to take a look at and to understand how it works. It will help generate more opportunities for you and put people in front of you so you can do the thing you're best at, which is what? Help get people into homes, help refinance them, help save them money, help get them cash out to pay off debts, put kids through school. That's what this is about. So we appreciate you doing that. All right. I'm going to close us out here. I have this game, Michelle. This is for you. So it's one word. I'm going to give you a slew of one words only, and then you just tell me what comes to your mind. You don't have to give me one word back. You can give me a sentence. Whatever you want to take, this is up to you, okay?
Deal.
First one, failure.
Lessons, the best lessons.
I always love that one, Tommy, because like I give that same answer too. Like a lot of the people we talk to give the exact same. It's always a fun one. Victory.
Affirmation that you're on the right path.
Sacrifice.
I feel like I'm on Jeopardy or something.
No.
It's close.
Sacrifice.
It's humbling, I think, for me.
Pride.
Check it at the door, man.
Ooh. Doubt.
The Bible. Like, go to the Bible and you won't be doubting anymore.
Standards.
No exception.
Accountability.
The word I'm looking for is not coming to my mind, but the word I want is essentially like a non-negotiable, like it's a must.
Focus.
Easier said than done, but have a non-navigate or a process, right? Or a daily routine that you don't shift from. Like, some people do the miracle mornings. For me, I get up at the same time every morning and I work in the morning before the day starts and before the kids are up and all of that. And I'm tired, but like that's a non-negotiable because I have to have quality focus time.
Last one, faith.
Completely life-changing.
100%. Y'all, thank you very much for tuning in. Michelle, we appreciate you. Y'all, we will be on. Actually, y'all will see us. You'll see this Monday. Yep. And then we have our podcast that Thursday, I believe, correct?
No, the following. So if you are watching this on Monday, tomorrow, Tuesday, will be Michelle's webinar with us at, I believe, 12 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
And be sure to join us. If you need to find the link, it is all over all of our socials. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, be sure to find it. It will be easy to find it. And thank you, dear listener, for tuning in to this episode of the Broker Power Up podcast. If you found today's tips helpful, do us a favor, hit the like button to let us know you enjoyed it, which helps even more people see this content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ring the bell to get notified every time we drop new content. Share this video with a fellow broker who could use a power up. And remember to lead by example, to lift each other up, to grow together, and most importantly, close more loans. Until next time, keep powering up.